Listen closely, because if you're hearing this right now, this message is not random. December 25th is not just another day. It is a breakthrough point, a moment where something shifts quietly but permanently. Most people will miss it, but some will feel it deep inside, and those are the ones God is about to elevate. If lately things have been falling apart without explanation, if you've felt called to be quiet, not argue, not explain, if your life feels uncomfortable even though nothing looks wrong, that's not coincidence. That's preparation. Today, I'm revealing the 6 undeniable signs God is about to elevate you. Signs most people misunderstand, ignore, or resist. And if even one of these signs resonates with you, it's because your season is changing right now. Stay with me until the end, because sign number 6 is the confirmation most people wait their entire lives for, and missing it could delay what's meant for you. Before we begin, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment, "I am ready," not for me, but as a declaration that you're aligned with what's coming next. Now, let's begin. This is the sign most people misunderstand and often resent the most because it feels personal, it feels unfair, it feels confusing. But in truth, it is one of the clearest indicators that elevation is near. Before God elevates someone, He removes what cannot go with them. You may have noticed that certain relationships didn't end with conflict or betrayal. They simply faded. Conversations shortened. Effort became one-sided. The connection no longer flowed the way it once did. There was no dramatic breakup, no clear reason, just distance. And that silence may have hurt more than an argument ever could. You may have also experienced opportunities disappearing that once felt secure. Paths you assumed were meant for you suddenly closed. Plans you were confident in stopped making sense. Things you worked toward no longer inspired you, even if they looked good on paper. What once felt stable now feels hollow. And then there's the misunderstanding. People seeing you differently, questioning your intentions, interpreting your growth as arrogance, distance, or change in character. You didn't explain yourself, because deep down, you felt there was nothing to explain. You were simply becoming someone new. Old dreams may also be loosening their grip. Goals that once fueled you emotionally no longer excite you the same way, not because you failed, but because you outgrew them. The vision is shifting, and your spirit knows it, even if your mind hasn't fully caught up yet. This is not loss. This is alignment. God does not elevate you while you're still tied to environments, people, and identities that cannot sustain your next level. Elevation requires capacity, and capacity requires space. What once felt like rejection was actually protection. What felt like abandonment was actually redirection. God removes what would eventually limit you, drain you, or keep you small. He does this quietly, not to punish you, but to free you. December 25th brings clarity to this process. It becomes obvious that you were never meant to carry everyone with you. Not everyone is assigned to your future. Some people are only meant for a season, a lesson, or a chapter, not the entire story. Elevation requires lightness. You cannot rise while holding on to emotional weight that no longer belongs to you. You cannot move forward while dragging attachments that were only meant to get you through a previous version of yourself. God strips away what no longer matches your frequency, not because it is bad, but because it is no longer compatible. Growth changes your requirements. What once fit now restricts. What once felt safe now feels heavy. And this process often happens quietly. No announcement, no dramatic ending. just a gradual collapse of what is no longer real. If things have been falling apart without chaos, without explosions, without obvious reasons, this is not random. This is confirmation. God is clearing the path. He is making room for relationships that meet you where you're going, not where you've been. He is closing doors that would have eventually cost you peace. He is loosening your grip on old dreams so he can replace them with something more aligned, more expansive, and more true. This season is not about punishment. It is about preparation. And if your life feels lighter, quieter, and more selective than before, elevation is already in motion. One of the clearest and most misunderstood signs of spiritual elevation is silence. Not the silence that comes from fear, sadness, or isolation, but the silence that comes from clarity. This kind of quiet is intentional. It is chosen, and it marks a deep internal shift that happens right before God elevates someone. You may notice that you no longer feel the need to explain yourself. Situations that once triggered long defenses now pass without a reaction. You let people believe what they want. You don't rush to correct misunderstandings. You don't feel the urge to justify your decisions or narrate your growth. Something inside you has settled. You also don't argue your truth anymore, not because you doubt it, but because you know it. Truth does not need volume to exist. It doesn't need approval to be valid. When your alignment becomes internal instead of external, arguments lose their appeal. You realize that explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you only drains your energy. Instead, you observe more than you speak. You listen closely. You notice patterns. You see what people say and what they avoid. You sense intentions behind words. Your awareness sharpens, not outwardly, but inwardly. Conversations become information, not engagement. This is not distance. This is discernment. You also begin protecting your energy instinctively. You don't announce boundaries. You simply enforce them. You leave situations earlier. You choose silence over reaction. You step back instead of pushing forward. You stop oversharing. You stop seeking reassurance. This is not emotional shutdown. This is emotional maturity. This is wisdom activating. Before God elevates someone, He often closes their mouth and opens their discernment. He teaches them that not every thought needs to be spoken, and not every challenge requires a response. Silence becomes a filter, separating what matters from what distracts. Why does this happen? Because your next level does not require validation. It requires obedience. God does not elevate people who need constant agreement. He elevates people who can move in faith without applause. When you no longer need to be understood by everyone, you become free to follow what God is actually calling you to do. December 25th highlights this shift. While the world is loud, emotionally charged, reactive, and distracted, you find yourself inward, aware, and grounded. You're not pulled into unnecessary conversations. You don't feel compelled to react to every opinion. You are present, but not performative. Silence, in this season, is not weakness, it is preparation. Silence strengthens your intuition, it sharpens your focus, it keeps your spirit uncluttered. When you speak less, you hear more, not just from people, but from God. Direction becomes clearer. Conviction becomes stronger. Peace becomes steady. Those who talk less hear God more clearly because they leave room for His voice. This quiet season is teaching you restraint, timing, and trust. It is teaching you that power does not need to announce itself. When God elevates you, your actions will speak louder than your explanations ever could. If you feel drawn to quiet right now, honor it. This is not retreat. This is alignment before ascension. Have you felt restless lately? Not unhappy, not anxious, just quietly unsettled. A sense that something doesn't quite fit anymore, even though nothing is technically wrong. This feeling can be difficult to explain and even harder to justify to others. From the outside, your life may look fine, but inside, something has shifted. This discomfort is not coming from lack, it's coming from outgrowing. When God is about to elevate you, your current life begins to feel too small for who you are becoming. What once sustained you now feels limiting. What once brought comfort now feels repetitive. You haven't failed this season. You've completed it. You may notice that old routines no longer satisfy you. Habits that once felt grounding now feel draining. You go through the motions, but your spirit isn't engaged. It's not boredom. It's misalignment. Your growth has changed your needs, and your current rhythm no longer matches your capacity. Familiar places may also start to feel restrictive. Environments you once enjoyed now feel heavy or uninspiring. You don't quite belong in the same spaces, even if they're familiar. This can create guilt, confusion, or even self-doubt. You may wonder why you feel disconnected from things that used to feel like home. Conversations may begin to feel shallow. Topics that once entertained you now feel empty. You crave depth, substance, purpose. You're no longer fulfilled by surface-level interactions or constant distractions. Your spirit is asking for meaning, not noise. This is not ingratitude. This is transition. Transition always feels uncomfortable because you're standing between what was and what's next. You're no longer aligned with the past, but you haven't fully stepped into the future. This in-between space creates tension, but that tension is necessary. December 25th marks a powerful internal shift. It's the moment your spirit fully recognizes that it cannot stay where it once survived. Survival requires endurance. Elevation requires expansion. And expansion demands change. Growth always creates pressure before release. Just like a seed must crack before it becomes a tree, you must feel discomfort before you experience elevation. What feels like restlessness is actually readiness. What feels like unease is actually preparation. God allows this discomfort not to confuse you, but to move you. Comfort would keep you stagnant. Discomfort pushes you forward. It loosens your attachment to what is familiar so you can step into what is aligned. Elevation does not arrive gently. It arrives honestly. It forces you to confront the truth. You are no longer who you used to be, and because of that, you can no longer live the same way. This season is not asking you to force change. It's asking you to listen, to observe what no longer fits, to trust the internal signal guiding you forward. If you've been feeling unsettled without a clear reason, this is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that something is waking up within you. Elevation always feels uncomfortable before it feels victorious. And right now, you are closer to the breakthrough than you realize. Most people believe elevation comes after recognition. They think success is validated by applause, visibility, and approval. But in God's order, it works the opposite way. Recognition comes after endurance, not before it. And if God is preparing to elevate you, the evidence is not in how many people noticed you, it's in how much you survived without being seen. If you look closely at your recent season, you may realize how much of it you carried alone. Pressure that no one fully understood. Responsibilities that quietly piled up. Decisions that weighed heavy, even when you smiled through them. You showed up, even when you were tired. You kept going even when you felt unsupported. That wasn't weakness. It was strength being forged. You learned hard lessons privately. Lessons about trust, boundaries, patience, self-control, faith. These weren't lessons you could read in a book or learn from advice. They had to be experienced. You had to feel disappointment and keep your integrity. You had to face silence and remain grounded. You had to be misunderstood and still choose peace. That kind of wisdom only comes through endurance. You also became emotionally stronger without applause. No one celebrated your restraint. No one congratulated you for not reacting. No one noticed the moments you chose growth over ego, but heaven did. Strength developed in secret lasts longer than confidence built on praise. God was teaching you how to stand firm without needing reassurance. And perhaps the most defining part of this season, you did the right thing even when no one was watching. You chose honesty when shortcuts were available. You chose kindness when bitterness would have been easier. You chose discipline when comfort called. These decisions shaped your character quietly, consistently, and powerfully. This season was never meant to impress people. It was meant to build you. December 25th carries a profound reminder of this truth. Jesus himself was not born in a palace. There was no stage, no spotlight, no recognition. His arrival was quiet, humble, and unseen by the world, but destined to change everything. God does not reveal greatness the moment it arrives. He conceals it until it's ready. God prepares his greatest vessels in hidden places. He develops resilience where no one is clapping. He refines hearts where no one is looking. Because public elevation without private preparation collapses under pressure. What you survived this year was not random. The delays, the isolation, the quiet battles, the unanswered prayers, they were all part of your training. You were being strengthened for responsibility, not just reward. You weren't overlooked. You were being equipped. And now, you are different, more grounded, more discerning, more resilient. You don't chase attention the way you once did, because you've learned that strength doesn't need to announce itself. The season of hidden work is ending, and when elevation comes, it will not surprise God, even if it surprises everyone else. You are ready, not because you were seen, but because you were shaped. This sign is subtle, but it is one of the most powerful indicators that elevation is near. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't demand attention. Instead, it settles quietly within you, often in moments when logic says you should be worried. Despite uncertainty, you feel calm about what's coming. The future may be unclear, but it doesn't frighten you the way it once did. Questions remain unanswered, yet anxiety no longer controls your thoughts. You don't feel rushed to figure everything out. There is a steady inner stillness that wasn't there before. You experience trust without proof, not because everything is guaranteed, but because something deeper than evidence is guiding you. You don't have confirmation, timelines, or visible signs, but you sense that things are aligning. This trust doesn't come from optimism. It comes from faith that has been tested and refined. You carry confidence without clarity. You may not know exactly how things will unfold, but you're no longer doubting that they will. The uncertainty feels temporary, not threatening. You're able to take one step at a time without needing to see the entire path. That kind of confidence is built, not imagined. And perhaps most telling, you have faith without fear. Fear may still knock, but it doesn't stay. It doesn't settle. It doesn't dictate your decisions. You don't spiral the way you once did. You return to peace faster. That alone is evidence of growth. This peace does not come from circumstances, it comes from alignment. When God is about to elevate someone, He gives them peace before provision. He steadies their heart before changing their situation. Why? So they don't panic while waiting. So they don't rush into misaligned decisions. So they don't settle for shortcuts out of impatience. This peace acts as an anchor. It keeps you grounded while everything else is still unfolding. It's a sign that you're being guided even when the direction isn't fully revealed. December 25th activates this peace in a powerful way. It serves as a reminder to your soul that God's timing is not late, it is intentional. What feels delayed is often being perfected. What feels quiet is often being prepared. God is never rushed, and He is never careless with the lives He's shaping. You may realize that you no longer feel pressured by the future. You're not obsessing over what hasn't happened yet. You're not trying to force outcomes. You're learning to wait without worry. That is not passivity. That is trust in motion. You don't need all the details. You just need direction. And that direction is already within you. It's showing up as peace. It's guiding your decisions. It's helping you discern what to move toward and what to leave behind. This peace is not accidental. It's protective. It guards your heart from fear and your mind from confusion. It allows you to stay focused on obedience rather than outcomes. If you've been feeling calm in seasons where you once would have panicked, this is not coincidence. It's confirmation. Elevation doesn't begin with external change. It begins with internal stability. And right now, your spirit is steady because it knows something good is coming, even before you see it. This is the final sign, and the most important one, because it explains why everything else has been happening. Elevation is never just about improvement. It is about assignment. And every true elevation from God carries responsibility with it. If God is preparing to elevate you, you may feel a growing pull toward purpose. Not a loud demand, but a steady inner calling. It shows up when you're alone. It shows up when you reflect on your life. It shows up as a quiet knowing that what you're doing now is not the full picture of who you are meant to become. You may feel a desire to impact others, even if you don't yet know how. You care more deeply. You notice suffering, confusion, and injustice differently than before. You feel compelled to encourage, guide, build, or protect in ways you never used to. This is not pressure. It is awareness expanding. There may also be a calling to lead, create, or guide. Leadership doesn't always mean a title. It often begins as responsibility without recognition. You may find yourself being looked to for advice, stability, or clarity. People may open up to you unexpectedly. Others may trust your presence even before they understand your story. That is not coincidence. That is preparation. Most importantly, you may feel a strong sense that your life is meant for more than survival. You're no longer satisfied with just getting through the day. Comfort alone no longer fulfills you. You want meaning. You want alignment. You want your life to matter beyond personal success. This calling may feel heavy, but it is holy. Holy callings don't always feel exciting at first. They often feel serious, weighty. They ask something of you. They stretch you beyond what's familiar. Comfort would be easier. Staying quiet would be safer. Blending in would require less effort. But your spirit knows that retreat would cost you more than obedience ever will. December 25th is not about comfort. It is about calling. This day symbolizes purpose, arriving quietly, not dramatically. It reminds you that the greatest missions begin without applause. God doesn't elevate people to make their lives easier. He elevates them to make their lives meaningful. God elevates those who are willing to serve when no one is watching, those who are willing to stand when it would be easier to sit down, those who remain faithful even when results are delayed and recognition is absent. Elevation requires courage. It requires integrity. It requires a willingness to carry responsibility without resentment. You are not being elevated to escape life. You are being elevated to transform it, to be a voice where there is confusion, to be steady where there is chaos, to be light where there is uncertainty. Your experiences were not wasted. Your struggles were not meaningless. Every lesson you learned, every season you endured, every moment you held on, when it would have been easier to quit, these were shaping you for impact. This calling is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be available, to show up, to respond when prompted, to trust that God would not place this responsibility on you if He had not already equipped you for it. The pull you feel toward purpose is not random. It is the final confirmation that elevation is no longer approaching. It has already begun. As this message comes to a close, understand something important. What you've heard today is not meant to create excitement for a moment. It's meant to bring clarity for a season. Elevation doesn't always arrive with noise or instant results. Most of the time, it begins with awareness, and awareness is exactly what you have now. If these signs resonated with you, it's because you're already in motion. God doesn't send confirmation to people who are stagnant. He sends it to those who are prepared, those who have endured quietly, those who have been strengthened in ways no one else saw. You didn't imagine the changes in your life. You didn't overthink the shifts. You felt them because they were real. Right now, your responsibility is not to rush. It's to remain aligned. Stay grounded in what you've learned. Protect your peace. Honor the silence when it shows up. Trust the discomfort when it appears. And most of all, respect the calling that's rising within you. Even if it feels heavy at times, remember, elevation does not mean everything becomes easy. It means you become capable. It means you're trusted with more influence, more responsibility, more impact. And God only gives more to those who have proven they can handle it with humility and integrity. There may still be unanswered questions ahead. There may still be moments of waiting. But waiting does not mean nothing is happening. Some of the most powerful changes take place beneath the surface, where no one can see them. Roots grow before trees rise. December 25th is not an ending. It's a marker, a reminder that what was built in silence is now ready to be revealed in purpose. You don't need permission to step forward. You don't need approval to walk in alignment. You only need obedience and trust. If this message spoke to you, don't dismiss it. Sit with it, let it settle, and carry it into the days ahead with intention. Your actions from this point forward matter more than ever. If you feel led, leave a comment below with the words, "I receive this," as a declaration of faith, not for attention, but for alignment. And if this message helped you see your season more clearly, share it with someone who may need confirmation that they're not falling apart. They're being prepared. Your elevation is not coming by accident. It is unfolding by design.